So, with the very likely possibility of the Giants' current head coach, Pat Shurmur, being fired, I decided to go over some head coaching candidates, and we'll start with Matt Rhule, the current head coach at Baylor University. So, Matt Rhule is 44 years old. He lived in New York City before moving to Pittsburgh as a teenager, so he is familiar with the area. His playing career was a walk-on linebacker at Penn State. He didn't really have a pro career after that. Got into coaching right after that. He was an assistant coach at schools like Albright, Buffalo, UCLA, Western California, and Temple. His roles over the years were a linebacker coach, offensive line coach, defensive line coach, quarterback coach, and offensive coordinator. That was at Temple. He had a brief stint with the New York Giants in 2011-2012 during their Super Bowl season as an assistant offensive line coach, but left to be the head coach at Temple soon after. So after Matt Rhule announced he was going to leave the Giants to go be the head coach at Temple, Tom Coughlin, the current head coach of the Giants at the time, said this about Matt Rhule. Matt is a good, young coach. He has a very good command. He is thorough and detailed in his assignments and with personnel. He has an outstanding background in the game, and players like and respect him. He will be a great representative for Temple. So let's look at his time as head coach at Temple. So in 2013, taking over a not-so-good football program, they first went 2-10. They had 24 points per game scored on offense. In 2014, they were 6-6, 23 points per game averaged. Then in 2015, they had the big jump. They went from 6-6 to 10-4, now averaging 29 points per game on offense. In 2016, the year after, 10-3, 32 points per game average, and a conference title win. He showed improvements year by year, which was huge. He brought that program from very bad to apparently very good. And in 2016, he took on a very tough situation at Baylor after the recent coaches there were in a sexual assault scandal. So a lot of the commits to Baylor just backed out at the last minute. So he was in a tough spot because here he is thinking he has all these players, but then basically he was in a tough situation when he first took over Baylor because a lot of the players that were committed left to go to other schools. So here's what happened at Baylor. So in 2017, they went 1-11. No surprise. I mean, when you have all these commits leave and you're bringing in just random dudes that weren't even supposed to be on scholarship and a bunch of walk-ons, that's going to happen. They averaged 24 points per game that year. In 2018, the next season, they were 7-6. Things got better, 29 points per game averaged. And currently in 2019, I have them at 7-1. I think they won last week pretty big. So I think they're 8-1 now, averaging over 33 points per game on offense. So lastly, here are some things to like about Matt Rhule. He's proven that he can turn around losing programs and make them into winners. Of course, when he took over Temple, not a great program. Then they got a lot better once he was there for a few years. Same thing in Baylor. He took over a team that had a bunch of commits leave due to the, previous coaches caught up in some not good stuff. Took over that team, and just 2 years later, they became a very good team, Baylor. Right now, they're 8-1, as I said. So he's proven he could turn around struggling teams, and the Giants are definitely a struggling team right now. Another thing, he's relatable and can adapt. So when he took over at Baylor, which is in Texas, he went to some very, highly touted head coaches at Texas for high school teams and took 3 head coaches from Texas high school teams and brought them onto his staff. So he's basically showing that he can adapt. If he had like a big ego, he could be like, oh, I don't need those guys' help. I can just, recruit guys on my own. But no, he went out and tried to find the top head coaches in Texas and bring them onto his staff, and it paid dividends. It was a great move by him. So it shows that he can adapt in certain situations and won't let his ego get in the way like some of the other head coaches that we previously had for the Giants. As I just said, he doesn't let his ego get in the way. I mean, we've had coaches, Pat Shurmur and, of course, Ben McAdoo. Those guys have some pretty big egos. And, I mean, Matt Rhule's the type of guy that'll do what's right for the team and do what's best for the team. He does not let his ego get in the way, which is definitely a good thing. Another good thing, he's good with the media. Of course, when you're at Baylor and Temple, it's not the same as the New York media, but he seems very personable, seems like a nice guy, funny guy. I mean, I feel like he'd be a lot better than what Shurmur and McAdoo did at the podium, when speaking to the media, so that's definitely a plus. And another thing is he coached for the Giants. I mean, we know the Giants love familiarity in their organization. I mean, John Mara loves when there's guys with previous ties. I personally believe that's a big reason why Dave Gettleman's currently the GM of the Giants, because they like when guys have previous ties with the organization. And Matt Rhule was only here for 1 year. It was a Super Bowl year. The players on that team seemed to like him. I mean, some of the offensive linemen had good things to say about him, apparently. So there's a lot to like about him. So, let me know what you guys think about Matt Rhule. Would he be a legitimate head coaching candidate for this team? He has said that he has no interest in leaving Baylor, but why would you say that if you're him? if you're offered a head coaching job in the NFL, you have to consider it. I mean, of course, right now when the college season's going on, he's not going to say, "Oh yeah, I definitely want to leave this team when the season's over." He's not going to say that. So I mean, we'll see what actually happens in the offseason. And I do have to mention that he did turn down the Jets head coaching job because they did not let him bring his full staff onto the team. So basically what he wanted to happen was he wanted to be in charge and have full power of hiring his own coaching staff, but the Jets were not going to do that. They were going to have Greg Williams there. I think they wanted to have Adam Gase as like an offensive coordinator, some type of wacky story. So they did not let him have his way, basically. And I don't know if the Giants would do that either. So that's definitely a thing that can stick a fork in this whole thing. So let me know what you guys think about Matt Rhule. Would he be the next, a good next head coach for the New York Giants? If you want similar videos to this of some other head coaching candidates, let me know in the comments. I'll definitely go look into those guys and do my research and stuff like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you next time.